Welcome to Girlfriends Bible Study, a live Bible study with Connie and friends. Each week, Connie and her girlfriends engage in a lively conversation as they read and study Scripture. So grab a pen, your journal, and your best friend, and enjoy this enlightening Bible study.
We are talking tonight about miracles and the supernatural. We're reading from 2 Kings 6. But I wanted to share this story. It's been on my mind for some time, and I didn't know where it was, and I was praying about it, and I opened the Bible, and I opened right to it. So I love when that happens, and that happens a lot. Speaking of miracles and the supernatural, I wonder how many of you experience miracles or the supernatural on a regular basis. I will say I talk to God constantly, but I mean, from big things to little things, results I want from tests or a parking space or keeping me safe when I'm in the midst of some danger or potential danger. I talk to him constantly. And I'm so thankful that I feel his presence and feel that protection. So it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. There are times, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this, where I sense danger and I just know to pray. Sometimes God will say, don't go down that road, or, leave now, danger's coming. And I pay attention to that. And I don't know if that's ever happened to you. I'll share a story that happened years ago, thankfully. But I was living in this apartment in Detroit, and it was the middle of the night, and I woke up screaming from a nightmare, and it was 3:13 in the morning, 3:13 a.m. I wake up screaming, and I'm trying to get myself back together when all of a sudden I hear what I thought were several gunshots and glass breaking in the building. I could hear it. It was in my building. And all of us, this was one of those apartments where all of your doors face the outside. It didn't have an inside hallway. So we all had a living room window and all had a door that faced the outside. So I hear this glass breaking and screaming and these gunshots. And I'm thinking, holy smokes. So I knew there was some danger. And I ran. I don't know if I picked up the phone then. I think I picked up the phone and called 911. And I told them that I heard some gunshots and some glass breaking and people screaming. And then I ran into my closet to put my contact lenses in because my bathroom had a window. And I was concerned that if I turned the light on in the bathroom, that whoever might be doing whatever in the building would see me. So I was able to think clearly. Because I'm so nearsighted, I don't need a mirror to put my contacts in. So I needed to put my contacts in. I guess I didn't have glasses. So I needed to put my contacts in. And I went into the bathroom and I quickly put into the closet and put my contacts in. And then I looked out the back window and I heard some screeching. I didn't see the car, but I heard a car screeching away. And I picked up the phone and called my mom at the time in the middle of the night and just said, oh my gosh. And she answered. So mothers know. So she knew there was some danger. And I said, and she said, what's wrong, baby? What's wrong? And I told her what I'd heard. And I told her I'd call the police. And then she said, what's going on now? So I went to the front and I peeked out the window shade or the window curtain. And I saw this police car, this cruiser coming slowly down the street. And they had their big flashing light, the big, I don't know what they call it, big light, like not storm light, but whatever the light, like the big light. And they had it shining at the building. And then they stopped the car like, and just flew open the doors, just threw them open and came running toward the building. And I jumped back because I was on the second floor. But I saw them just throw the car doors open and run toward the building. And my mom said, what's going on? I said, they just ran through the building. Just feeling completely. And then they're knocking on the door. They couldn't get up to the second floor because it was a door that locked. And so they're banging, somebody let us in, let us in. And so finally, I was so scared, shaking, and I opened the door just a crack. And they looked up at me. And I said, literally softly, softer than I'm speaking here on Facebook, I said, I'm going to call the police. And they yelled, my sister wants to hold on 1 second. Hello, my sister. So I'm telling this story about what happened in the apartment building in Detroit. So I said, I'm the one who called the police, and they yelled, Chief, we got the caller over here. And of course, I was like, how could they say that so loudly? And so then somebody let them up. I don't think I went down and let them up. I may have, I don't remember, but somehow they got up to my apartment. And we're sitting there talking about what happened and what I heard. And I told him the whole, here's what happened, here's what I heard, blah, blah, blah. And it was a black female officer, I remember. And she said to me, and do you know about what time that was? And I said, it was 3:13 a.m. And she said, how do you know the time? And I said, I woke up screaming from a nightmare. And she said, that happens all the time. And I said, what? And she said, it happens all the time. People wake up from nightmares just before some kind of violent danger or something like that happens. It was powerful. And, it leads to a script that I'm working on and all of that. I'll just put that out there. But it let me know there are times when there's something going on in the spirit realm that we can pick up on. And I often wonder what would happen if we could suddenly see it, if we could see it with our natural eyes, whatever is going on in the spirit realm when we're feeling it, because there have been so many situations where, like I said, God will say, turn around, don't go that way, or leave now, or that kind of thing, just warn me away from danger. Or sometimes, you'll walk past somebody and you think, creepy, and they didn't say anything, they didn't do anything, they might not have even looked at you, but you get a sense of that. So I was thinking about that. And then this story, a couple of stories here in chapter 6 of 2 Kings. One of them is one of my favorite moments in scripture. But this first part is just miraculous. And so I just want to share it. It says, and I'm going to start at verse 1 and I'm going to read through verse 23. It says, the company of the prophets said to Elisha. So this is Elisha, S-H-A, not Elijah, J-A-H. So it's Elisha. So the company of prophets said to Elisha, look, the place where we meet with you is too small for us. Let us go to the Jordan where each of us can get a pole. I don't even know what pole is. What is a pole? I don't know. Anyway, so each of us can get a pole. Let us build a place there for us to live. And he said, go. Then one of them said, won't you please come with your servants? I will, he replied. It's interesting. He was like, go. And then they're like, will you come with? Sure, I'll come. And he went with them. They went to the Jordan and began to cut down trees. As one of them was cutting down a tree, the iron axe head fell into the water. Oh my Lord, he cried out, it was burrowed. The man of God asked, where did it fall? When he showed him the place, Elisha cut a stick and threw it there and made the iron float. Lift it out, he said. Then the man reached out his hand and took it. So just that one incident right there about just that miracle, he knew what to do. And I'm sure that as people have studied the Bible or whatever, they figured out scientifically, oh, well, if you get, I don't know, balsa wood or I don't know what kind of wood, some kind of special wood, pine, and if you drop that in, then it makes it, I'm sure now that we know about this, there's some scientific answer to how it happened. But at the time, we didn't know. And there are a lot of things. I will just say this, I'm going to detour for just a moment. People talk about, oh, the Bible was written by man. So were science books. So whatever. And science was written to explain some of the miraculous. They talk about how Abraham parted the Red Sea, right? And in the science world, in today's world, you would call that a tsunami. If the water, suddenly pulled back or went out like that, it would be a tsunami. So there are scientific ways to explain the miraculous. They're not separate. They're not separate. It's not this or that. It doesn't have to be. It can be miraculous. And then once you understand it or you've been taught or you get to learn more about the science, then you can help understand what occurred. But in this situation, I don't know what kind of stick you can throw into water to make an axhead float. So what you throw into water that makes metal float, but it was just miraculous then. He knew because God told him what to do. I thought that was awesome. Okay, so then here's what happens. Now the king, we're in verse 8. Now the king of Aram was at war with Israel. After conferring with his officers, he said, I will set up my camp in such and such, in such and such a place. I love such and such. You know, we talk about such and such. Such and such probably came from the Bible, such and such, in such and such a place. All right, I love it. So in such and such a place, he's going to set up camp. The man of God sent word to the king of Israel, beware of passing that place because the Arameans are going down there. So he was quickened in his spirit. The Lord told him where they were going. And so Elisha then told the king of Israel. So the king of Israel checked on the place indicated by the man of God. Time and again, Elisha warned the king so that he was on his guard in such places. This enraged the king of Aram. He summoned his officers and demanded of them, will you not tell me which of us is on the side of the king of Israel? Like, which one of y'all is the traitor? Who's the inside man? Because y'all keep telling them what we're about to do. None of us, my lord the king, said one of his officers. But Elisha, the prophet who is in Israel, tells the king of Israel the very words you speak in your bedroom. Like, you could be talking in your pillow, Elisha knows. Go find out where he is, the king ordered, so I can send men and capture him. The report came back. He is in Dothan. Then he sent horses and chariots and a strong force there. They went by night and surrounded the city. When the servant of the man of God got up and went out early the next morning, an army with horses and chariots had surrounded the city. Oh, my Lord, what shall we do? The servant asked. Listen to what Elisha says. Don't be afraid, the prophet answered. Those who are with us are more than those who are with them. And Elisha prayed, oh Lord, open his eyes so he may see. My favorite. This is my favorite. Open his eyes so he may see. Then the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he looked and saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. Isn't this amazing? Imagining if you could see in the spirit realm and see all your guardian angels and the warriors and all of that surrounding you, protecting you, that peace right there of just saying, Lord, open his eyes so he can see. There are more with us than with them. Like, it looks like we're surrounded. Open his eyes. Show him what I see. Oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite scriptures. So as the enemy came down toward him, Elisha prayed to the Lord, strike these people with blindness. So he struck them with blindness, as Elisha had asked. Elisha told them, this is not the road. Listen, wait, y'all need to understand, this is the Jedi mind trick right here. 2 Kings 6, verse 19. Listen to what Elisha says. Elisha told them, this is not the road, and this is not the city. This is not the drones you're looking for. Like, literally, this is not the road, and this is not the city. Follow me, and I will lead you to the man you are looking for. That is the Jedi mind trick in the Bible right there. That's where they got it from, is out of 2 Kings 6. And he led them to Samaria. After they entered the city, Elisha said, Lord, open the eyes of these men so they can see. Then the Lord opened their eyes and they looked, and there they were inside Samaria. When the king of Israel saw them, he asked Elisha, shall I kill them, my father? Shall I kill them? Do not kill them, he answered. Would you kill men you have captured with your own sword or bow? Set food and water before them so that they may eat and drink and then go back to their master. So he prepared a great feast for them, and after they had finished eating and drinking, he sent them away, and they returned to their master. So the bands from Aram stopped raiding Israel's territory. I love that. I love that scripture. Love it. You got Jedi mind trick, you got miracles, you got opening the eyes to the supernatural, to being able to see what's in the spirit realm. I love it. These aren't the droids you're looking for. That's what he basically just said. So that's just one of my favorite scriptures, especially because he's protected me in certain situations like that, where he's thankfully helped me in certain situations. I'm gonna Oh, look, I put my sister. Let's do a gallery view. Put us both up there together. And there's my beautiful sister. Hello, my beautiful sister.
Hello, beautiful sister.
Have you had situations happen like that before where you sensed danger and you walked away? Something told you to walk away or leave that place or that kind of thing. Can you think of an instance where that happened with you?
I don't have an instance where that happened. I'm mostly hard-headed, and I have instances where something told me to do something, and I thought,
That don't make no sense.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And sometimes they're simple, things like put the Tylenol in your purse before you go to this conference today, a day-long conference. There's Tylenol in the cabinet, and I see it when I'm brushing my teeth or whatever, and I hear, put that in your purse, and I think, I'm 20 something. I'm not old. I don't need medicine. I don't know what you, who, you know, and you and I've discussed later. You ask yourself, wait, who's I arguing with?
Who's arguing with?
Mm,
One of those voices wasn't me. I know.
Yeah, what's happening right now?
Yeah.
Sure enough, hard headed, rebellious.
Yeah.
I think I had been at that conference for an hour and a half before I had literally a headache that made me walk around like this. Like
Mhm.
I could hardly open my eyes. It was blinding. I'm asking everybody I pass, do you have any Tylenol? Do you have any Tylenol?
Not do you have any
Oh,
Tylenol?
right? I mean, it was like just immediately, like, see, with your rock head. So yeah, that has happened. But you you made me think about talking about the science behind miracles and how some things are, you know, God says he doesn't break his own laws, right? So he's not there's probably in every miracle we hear about some physics that could explain it. And thinking about when I was taking astronomy in college, and it was a time in that particular class where, for whatever reason, Christians, the Christian, I don't know how he even got on the subject, but there was the professor was like, Christian and faith, some people believe, sky fairy, blah, blah, that kind of stuff. And, um, and we talked about time, and I got into a discussion with some of my folks, and they were like, well, when was God born, and how about, and I was like, God, he exists outside of time. He's God is a creature that exists outside of time. Time is a construct. Yeah, oh right, like that makes sense. And then as we're in the astronomy class, we get to the section on black holes, and the professor says the closer you get to the event horizon of a black hole, and the event horizon is where the pull of it is so powerful that you can't escape it once you pass that line. He said the slower time gets once you get past that event horizon until you get to the center of the black hole and it stops. And I was like, how can be? The concept of a creature that exists outside of time was ridiculous.
Right.
And yet you're telling me that in science there is a place where time does not exist.
Yeah.
Got you. So yeah, it's just really interesting. The
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I know. It really is interesting. Like I said, I don't know what you could put in water that would make metal float. I'm sure they figured it out scientifically now. I don't, at the time that they wrote about Abraham and part of the Red Sea, Moses and part of, I said Abraham earlier, Moses and part of the Red, I really do know. Y'all, I am tired tonight. I need some rest. So I'm about to go to bed after this, even though it's not even 8 o'clock. But Moses parting the Red Sea.
Point still stands, yes. Mhm.
Point still stands. I know I'm gonna get corrected, y'all. I seriously do know who it was. But in today's time, thinking about the tsunamis and things that have occurred, and how far back that water went before it came, and then overcame whatever, and flooded the whatever. That's that's what happened with Moses and the Red Sea. It pulled back, and the way, of course, it's depicted in the Ten Commandments, it pulled back from both sides. We don't know that that's actually how it went down, but
Right. That's a movie.
you know
Mhm.
that's but still. So, but
Yes.
that's a tsunami pulled back, and then how it drowned the people who followed after. Yeah, just like a tsunami, pulls back, pulls back, pulls back, and then when it comes and that wave comes, get out the way, move. Anyway,
And honestly, that isn't to say that I think we'll figure out every aspect of
Miracle.
a miracle
Oh,
because,
no.
when again, science says that there's about 2/3 of the human brain that we don't use,
Mhm,
that we don't know how to activate. And so I think we have capabilities far beyond what we know how to do.
mhm.
So I'm not confident that, part of
And our
that
little
is
one
not,
third, we're gonna figure it out. Yeah.
not only are we not going to figure it out, but it didn't have to be that Moses knew that at this time, on this date, in this hour, there was going to be a tsunami. It could
Oh, no,
be,
no, no.
right. I mean, there are things we can do. The statement is if we command the mountain to throw itself into the sea. So there are parts of our brain that probably can affect matter that we don't,
Oh, yeah.
that we don't know how to do. So anyway,
We
just
see it
very,
in small ways where we talk about somebody and then we say, oh my gosh, I must have talked you up. And then we recognize that our words or our thoughts have that much power. I was thinking about you so much. I can't believe you called today. Thoughts have power. Words have power. You talk somebody up, you're going to hear from them most likely. If they're not mad at you, you'll hear from them. If they're mad at you, you might not hear from them, but you can bet they're thinking about you too right then. So you're right. Just those little things of your thoughts having power like that, and you can draw people to you. And I'll imagine if you activated that other part of your brain that said, okay, I'm going to need for this to open up. We're standing here and there's just an ocean or a sea in front of us. I needed to open and let us through. I can only imagine. I can only imagine. And
yeah.
I think about, mothers who lift cars off of children. Like there are supernatural things that we do that don't make any sense. And they don't break their back when they do it. Like it's not as though they do it and then they're suddenly paralyzed because they've lifted 2,000 pounds. They willed, and it can't possibly be just in their physical strength. They literally willed that car off that child.
And I think in science fiction, you see things that we dabble with that are not really out of the realm of possibility. And telekinesis, that's one that we've never, we've talked about and imagined and used forever.
And some people can
Telekinesis,
do it.
and some people can do it.
In fact, I don't know. All I can think is the word chi, but there's whatever one of the martial arts is that you just go like that,
Yes.
and you don't have to touch the person. It's like moving the matter, moving the air, and it just sends them backwards just from your hands pushing. And so, yeah, you can move matter, and some people would consider that telekinesis. Being able to see somebody coming and doing like that and not even touching them and having them blow backwards. That's actual real. There's a martial art that actually does that. I knew a guy when I worked at Oasis, he knew how to do it. He studied it. He was like, I've seen it. I know how to do it. I've seen it happen. And, you don't get to use it just anywhere, but, he saw it with his own eyes. He knew it was possible. So anyway, the supernatural and miracles, that is what we're talking about tonight. So that is tonight's Bible study. I do love that in 2 Kings 6. I love the part of opening the eyes. Oh, it's such a powerful scene. So powerful. So powerful. So anyway, thank you, sister, for joining me tonight for Bible Study Live. Is your dog still barking? Oh, Holly. Okay. Well, I'm going to take us off of Facebook. Bye, everybody.